Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm pleased to be here with our campaign team and the candidates for St. James and introduce to you the candidate for Mayor, Kevin Klein.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much. And for those watching live on FaceTube, we welcome you as well. I want to start by offering our acknowledgement that we are on Treaty 1 land, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, and Dakota peoples, as well as the homeland of the Red River Métis Nation. And also acknowledge that our drinking water that is so precious to us comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation of Treaty 3 territory. It has been asked an awful lot about reasons why I entered the race, and one of the most important reasons is crime. I was watching the candidates that were coming forward, and no one is talking about crime, other than voters. We are hearing from voters in every area of this city that crime is an issue. And we are on track, if you look at the facts, to have 50 murders in the city of Winnipeg, another record-breaking year. Violent crime, as we've learned recently, is on the rise again, and we are one of the highest cities in Canada with the violent crime index. We've had abductions of teenagers and younger at bus stops. We've had assaults on buses. We had a person who fled war-torn Ukraine only to be stabbed at the Forks. Recently, in a discussion with the Winnipeg Police Association, we learned that the City of Winnipeg police members take more guns off the street than Toronto. And that's not per capita, that is 1 for 1. More guns on the streets of Winnipeg are coming off than in Toronto. And recently, here in St. James, we had a gentleman that had someone invade their home, called police, and nobody could respond. It took 4 days for police to get there, and that is just unacceptable in Winnipeg. We cannot tolerate that any longer. It's not acceptable that people have to wake up to broken windows and destruction of their property or stolen barbecues and bicycles on a regular basis. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable that people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on security systems to protect themselves and protect their families. It's not acceptable. We hear a lot of talk about the police budget, and I think it's important that politicians be honest with you about the police budget. Number one is that not every dollar you see actually goes towards policing. It's important that you know the Winnipeg Police Service has to give $10 million a year back to the City of Winnipeg for rent, when those dollars could be addressing our crime and our social issues in the city. It's important to note that every time a police car is purchased, instead of the police purchasing that vehicle and enjoying the savings, it's purchased by the City of Winnipeg Fleet Department, who then increases the cost back to the police, making some money off our own police service, taking money out of dealing with crime and social issues, and putting that money back into general revenues or corporate charges. That is unacceptable. If you look at all the police units we have in the city, they park underground at HQ because that's where they're protected. It's also where they can do transfers of prisoners and such. The Winnipeg Police Service has to pay $300 or so for every parking spot for a police vehicle that they have to rent from the City of Winnipeg. Those dollars are not being spent appropriately. And when we get to become mayor of Winnipeg, that will all change. We need to have enough resources to respond to 911 calls. We are continuously hearing in the media about the queue. And that means when you hear the number 100 to 300 in the queue, that's people that have called 911 and have to wait, sometimes days, before police arrive. That's unacceptable. Back 20 years ago, you may recall, in 2003, 2004, we had a serious issue with crime. The mayor's changed. The new mayor came in and did what was called clean sweep to address the crime. Crime went down. Now crime is back up. Again, at record levels, which is unacceptable, and it is being ignored by candidates. Until recently, some now all of a sudden are on the bandwagon. But we have to look at the facts, and we have to take action in the short term and have long-term plans. In speaking with members of our healthcare industry, if you will, and hospitals and other members of our Winnipeg Police Service, we know that on occasion there could be up to 8 police units off the street sitting at a hospital for 5, 6, or 8 hours, maybe even more, waiting for a person in custody to be looked at. That is not an efficient use of resources. Everyone with a gun and a badge should be on the street and being utilized properly. That's how we start to address crime. Well, Mayor, we will sit down and talk to our provincial colleagues to find and implement solutions that will address these issues in the short term and put together long-term plans so that we do not have to deal with crime in the years ahead. Public safety and the well-being of everyone in Winnipeg means effective use of resources. There's not just one solution. There's no 10-point plan that will work. The reality is the only answer is taking action immediately, is stopping to ignore it and sitting down with the people that can make it work. We talked about the province for a bit. How do we save time for police officers that are waiting in hospitals? Well, we look back at a time when the police and the City of Winnipeg were looking at giving security guards special constable status so that they could tend to those that were in custody at a hospital, allowing the police officers that are trained professionals to get back on the street and do what they're paid to do and to help us and to protect us. We could talk to the province about sheriffs. We could have sheriffs positioned in every hospital so that when a person in custody arrives, the sheriffs can take over responsibility and allow police officers to get back on the street. And when they get back on the street, we know that that queue will come down. Somebody waiting for a 911 response should not have to wait longer because we have a police unit waiting at a hospital given the long wait times we're seeing in hospitals. Winnipeggers want a leader who is going to act rather than finger point, ignore the situation, and try to find different approaches by using or utilizing resources that are not in the proper place. Winnipeggers want a leader who will roll up their sleeves and work immediately with others, professionals, at a table to find the solutions that can be implemented quickly and to work on the long-term plan. Every Winnipegger deserves to feel safe at home. Every Winnipegger deserves to feel safe on a bus, at the mall, and at work. And as Mayor, I am committing to you that public safety and your well-being and those of the people that will visit our great city and hopefully call this home will also be safe. Thank you.